So talk to us about how we shape shots when you're going to try and hit a little low draw for us, and what would you do differently to try and hit a little bit of a low kind of chase draw out there?
Just think it and do it.
Think it and do it. Freddie Couple style, think it and do it.
Low draw. For me, I may try and get my grip a little bit stronger just to help me release it, come in, try and keep the hands leading club face, which will start with kind of the right hip and shoulder clearing. That way you can keep it down and trap it without getting too steep.
Ball position change a little bit?
I may go back a little bit, but a lot of times I try not to move it too much. You get back and you start getting too steep, and with that creating spin, and you don't want spin going into the wind.
I think that's the one thing that a lot of people do is historically we put the golf ball way back and feel like to hit it lower, beat down on it. But we know so much more about spin and how that affects the golf ball now. And one of the things that we always hear that you guys talk about is, especially in the wind, trying to hit that flat, low one that doesn't rise up and get up. And I think a lot of people just put it too far back and then they hit down on it and they spin it up.
Yeah. Definitely. Another way is sometimes it's going up a club where you're not having to try and go down on it or swing at it as hard. You know, you're putting a little bit smoother swing on it. You're hitting the window that you want, but it's coming out with less spin and a little bit more of a penetrating flight.
All right, so a little bit back in stance, a little bit stronger grip, a little low, punchy. That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, to kind of ride the wind, right or left to right one today, so the wind here.
No, that was drawing. It was just the wind holding it. It was perfect. That's what we'd want to do.
So we've got a lot of wind here, as we can see all these flags.
Yep.
You're going to aim a lot more to the left and try and ride the wind here. So shifting where you're aiming and shifting anything else?
For the most part, the feet and your alignment where you kind of want to start the ball. For me, if I'm really trying to move it, I would line up there and then almost point the face of my club at the target where I want the ball to finish, and then swing down my footpath, then creating the ball to move. It becomes different when you're trying to hit a low or a high shot, and then in conditions like this, you really don't have to try and move it much when the wind's blowing as hard as it can. So a lot of times you try and start it at a point and then let it just drift with the wind.
So we're going to ask you, that was kind of the low draw back into the wind. Now we're going to try and hit the high fade and ride the wind.
Okay.
So a little bit more left.
Yeah, a little left, ball may go up a little bit, and for me, I'll try and just stay back and keep my spine angle from going forward. I'll get a little tilt there to help launch it up a little bit. You want high or high?
High.
Okay.
High, high. A high balloon ball. Talk us through, if you've got this kind of 40-yard shot where you're going to try and get it in the air and land it soft, what are some of the things that you do?
The things I do, if I want to get it soft, I just kind of open up the face a little bit. I make sure, I kind of play it, make sure the toe's on the ground, the heel's kind of up off the ground, so more of an upright posture, I guess you could say, and then really try to accelerate that club head through the golf ball to get some spin on it.
Yeah, go ahead and hit one
All right.
for us. So a little bit closer, hands a little bit higher, face a little bit open.
And hopefully it spins.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I think that you've also learned how to do is also hit it, a bunch of different trajectories. If you had the same length type shot and you wanted to hit a little bit lower one, what would you do differently?
Believe it or not, I actually close the club face.
Okay.
I turn the club face in, do the same thing, get a little closer to it, get a little more upright with the hands, and turn the toe in. So that way when it hits, the golf ball should come off straight if you do it correctly, but it'll release. And it won't check. Won't have anything else other than a little bit of top spin.
It'll just kind of roll out. Okay,
yeah.
so the first one, a little bit more open face.
Yep, and then this one, you kind of play it in the same spot. You just close the face in a little bit and make the same swing.
And then one more, if you have to hit the really high, soft one, back pin, you've got really no real green to miss it, or you're really trying Augusta style. Pin on a shelf, you're going to try and land it and have it stop dead. What do you do there?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as the first one. You open the face a little bit, just slightly, not as much as you did earlier if you're trying to really spin it, but you're just trying to make sure that acceleration through the golf ball is quite quick. You can't give up on it. You got to be aggressive. for it to have that one hop and stop.
And I think a lot of times we see our amateurs, when they open the face, they don't realize they've added so much more loft than normal that if they don't go ahead and make a big swing with a lot of speed, the golf ball might go high, but it's just not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. If you give up on it, it's never going to get back to the pin, and then if you kind of quit on it, you're going to duff it. So that's the last thing you want to do. You just got to make sure you really accelerate through it and kind of trust it. Trust the face is going to do the work for you.
Okay, so this is the high one. That's the high floater. I interviewed you last year at Memorial, and you said you like to hit the lemonade, which is the little fade.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's kind of tough when you're trying to hit a low little fade into win, you know. But I feel like, you know, that's the shot. It's harder, easier to control. I feel like if you're trying to draw it low into the wind, it can get a little bit out of control and run a bit too far, you know.
All right, so let's talk us through when you're trying to hit these shots. Anything you do in your setup or anything that you like to try and feel?
Yeah, generally, I mean, I'm a big believer. I play everything generally off the front foot, which helps me hit that little fade. But again, if I'm going to try and hit a low one, I generally move it back and just open my stance up a little bit just to help me hit the lemonade again. So again, it's all just around me, just trying to feel as long as I feel like I've got that sort of 3 to 5 yard cut on it, I feel like I'm in control of my game. So for me, it's all about that.
And I think for faders especially, it's also important, I think, for guys that faded, you want to see the golf ball starting left of your target. You don't want to see it starting on line and then curving. You want to start at that little bit left and then just have it slide back.
100%. And that's the thing is, when you're trying to hit it low, there's always a tendency you can squeeze one out to the right. So it's important you do it your start line when you're trying to hit it low and left sort of thing.
All right, let's go ahead and see it. We'll put the pressure on you.
All right.
So 4-iron, a little fade. So that in breezes like this, that'd be pretty acceptable because the wind can move it a lot here. We've heard guys talk about that all week.
Yeah, I mean, for me on that back nine, it's going to be tough with a wind out the left as well. For me to control that shot's going to be pretty tough. So, I mean, I might be trying to draw quite a few of the shots into the back nine just to try and land it a little softer and kill it against the breeze. I mean, that's going to be, if the pins are on the left, that's going to be a tough shot for me to get close to any flag.
All right, so show us the little draw. What do you do differently when you're going to try and turn it?
All in the setup. Again, I'd move the ball back just to try and help me close the club down a little bit and just aim a little bit further right and just do it all in the setup.
All right, let's go ahead and see this a little left to right, which you think you'll have to hit some of the pins on the back nine, so a little change in the setup. So that's kind of the Jack Nicklaus golf my way, where Jack just basically changed his setup. Didn't really do a lot with his swing, just basically altered where his alignment was. And I think so many people that I see, Andy, they're trying to do a lot of things to change the ball flight, and you just basically alter the direction that you're aiming and then just swing the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Bryson DeChambeau, you know what I mean? I'm not a rocket scientist, so for me, it needs to be as simple as possible. I mean, anything that gets sort of complicated, it'll just blow my mind. So my coach knows, Jamie Goff knows, just to, keep it as simple as possible, and it seems to work for me.
So when you play your best, do you like to hit draws or fades with your driver?
I'm always a right to left guy, but I'm also the kind of guy that likes to work it both ways. If the hole calls for a fade, I like to fade it. If it calls for a draw, I like to draw it. So I always try to see the shot working with the shape of the hole.
All right, let's assume we're going right to left and hit your little draw, and then we'll hit a little fade here.
Okay. You put me on the spot, man.
Well,
this is
you gotta
tough.
do it, man.
This is tough. There's your little draw.
Perfect. So a little 3 to 5 year old. So what are you thinking of technique-wise to hit your little draw?
For me, it's a little more width on the downswing, and it's just kind of my natural swing. Everything kind of just has that's the tendency. So if it's a good week and everything's going right, I'm not thinking about much, and the ball's just kind of doing what I want it to do. So that's kind of how the draw works. Fades are a little more different. It's a little bit more of a manufactured swing.
Perfect. We're going to have you hit the fade now with the driver. So a little bit change in the setup?
A little bit. A little more open, a little more out on the takeaway. I try to stay a little flatter, so you might see the attack angle go down a little bit. And just try to stay a little more level over the ball and swing a little left. My fades are a little lower. That's more of a controlled shot, and that sucker's going to hit the ground and take off.
So when you do that, it's 100% just based off of what your eye sees and what the course is giving you.
I think so. I mean, it's very rare that you've got a right to left hole, and usually the rough's kind of sticking out on that left side, and you're not. It just doesn't fit the shape of the hole, hitting a cut into a draw fairway, and vice versa. So I always try to maximize, the landing area, and I think working with the fairway helps.
Talk us through anything that you're currently working on in your golf swing, any keys that you're going to work on this week.
Yeah, well, I hit the ball pretty low as it is.
Which will definitely help you this week.
Yeah, a lot lower than the normal guy out there. But so that's something I'll work on. And then just alignment, especially when things like this happens, where the wind starts blowing and things, guys, the simple things started to fade away a little bit. The alignment getting a little bit steeper and things like that. So go back to basics a little bit. Something that I just work on is a little bit posture. I sometimes get very low because of the wind. I like to get a little bit high, feel tall, and then just slow things down a bit.
Did you grow up playing in a lot of breeze down in SA?
I did, yeah. We grew up in at Fancourt. Fortunate, we've got 3 golf courses down there, one which is links. So, I'm pretty fond of the links. I like visualizing different shots, hitting a lot of different shots, and obviously ball shaping is important. One
of the things I love about your golf swing is you keep things very simple. You pretty much exclusively hit the golf ball from left to right. So let's go ahead and have you hit your little slider out there for us.
Alrighty. So I got 2 things. When I want to hit the little slider left to right, I feel like I normally want to get a little bit open. So I intend to set up with my right foot, forward, so it feels like I have a little bit more space. And then when I want to hit the stronger shape, I'll go left foot forward to get me a little bit more in a power situation, a lot more stronger over the golf ball. So if I want to go left to right, right foot forward, feel a little bit open, and like I said, just swing it away. Not a lot of shape there.
Hit the side. All right, so as a person that tends to like to hit the golf ball from left to right, what do you do when you have to try and turn one from right to left?
Then I hit the 3-wood. No, I don't. To be honest, I don't really like hitting the driver right to left. I know sometimes you have to have it. Then I'll try just to get a little bit wider, get a little bit more behind the golf ball, and do it that way.
But I think that's one of the things that people watching. It's so important to have one specific shape. Yeah. I think so many players are trying to do a lot of different things. I think a lot of the juniors that I work with, you'll see them trying to hit every single shot. And I think one of the strengths of your game and one of the reasons you've progressed so well is you know what you can do. You've got a shape that you know that you can trust, and you know where your miss is going to be. And you also know, especially out here, you know where you're not going to hit the golf ball.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, you need to know what you do. You need to know what type of shots you can hit. I've got a couple of shots in the bank which I like hitting when I come into pressure situations, and I like hitting it a lot lower than that. That's for me the fairway finder, and it might only fly 250, but it's going to run to 300.
All right, let's see the low fairway finder.
Alrighty. So all I do there is I get a little bit closer to the golf ball, a little bit more upright. Same ball height and everything, and just slow things down just to get the spin a little bit lower. So when I hit that shot, it doesn't fly a lot, but I hit it pretty much straight all the time, and it gets the run, and that's something I'm going to need this week.